Okay, let's begin with breaking news that's coming in right now. Russian President Vladimir Putin has formally extended an invite to Prime Minister Modi to visit Russia next year for the India-Russia annual summit. Now, there was a lot of talk that this visit would be happening, and now a formal invite has been extended by the Russian president to Prime Minister Modi. We've seen deals, diplomacy taking place in Delhi. The next step with this particular visit by Putin to India, a short one, just over 24 hours, Putin has now extended an invite to Prime Minister Modi to visit Russia as well. There's a possibility that that meeting will happen and that visit will take place. The invite is for next year when there is an annual India-Russia summit. Let's bring in Shivani Sharma for more details on this. Shivani, there was a lot of talk that Prime Minister Modi could be headed to Russia next year. The formal invite has been extended. Any confirmation of whether the Prime Minister will be attending?
See, after the meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Putin, a joint statement has been issued and a formal invitation has also been given out to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the next annual India-Russia summit. That will happen in Russia, and the confirmation will it's soon expected from Prime Minister's office. But we must tell our viewers that this is very important to understand because the India-Russia annual summit happens to be one of the most important and advanced interactions between both the leaders of both the countries. This is not just bonhomie between two leaders, but also how India and Russia are moving ahead, taking their strategic ties in all issues, on all issues and spheres, ranging from counter-terrorism to space to nuclear energy, the civil nuclear energy, the health, and how keeping the Make in India initiative, how India is collaborating with Russia and how Russia is now extending uninterrupted fuel supply despite the sanctions from the West and also the United States. So now when the invitation has come, it is expected that Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be travelling and he can travel to Russia for the next India-Russia summit that will happen in Russia next year. That will happen in the third quarter, that towards the end of the year next year. So we have this confirmation.
It could be around August, September is what we're hearing. But thanks very much, Shivani, for getting us those details. I want to cut across to another news break coming in. Now, in just a few hours from now, there's going to be a president's banquet. This is in the Rashtrapati Bhavan, hosted for the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, here's a news break that's coming in that's going to trigger a political showdown in India. Reportedly, there's been no invite extended to Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition, or for that matter, the Congress president and the leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge. Rahul Gandhi, Kharge have not been invited. Reportedly, however, what's interesting is that Shashi Tharoor of the Congress has been extended an invite for this formal dinner that will be taking place in a few hours from now. Mind you, this comes just about 48 hours after Rahul Gandhi had accused the government of breaking tradition, saying opposition leaders aren't given a chance to meet with any of these foreign dignitaries, saying why is there no meeting between opposition leaders and the Russian president. Now, after that, the MEA had clarified and given instances where there were such meetings that had happened. But in this particular case, where there is a formal dinner, no invite has been extended to Rahul Gandhi, no invite has been extended to Mallikarjun Kharge. Instead, guess what? Who's found their name in the invite list? It's Shashi Tharoor. This, no doubt, is going to spark a huge controversy. It's going to become a big talking point because, remember, the only leader who's been invited, Shashi Tharoor, is someone who's been rather critical of the Congress, and there's been endless talk and questions and speculation on whether he's going to switch over and join hands with the BJP. Amid all of that speculation, Rahul Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge, who are considered to be the faces of the Congress, not invited. Instead, Shashi Tharoor is. Moshmi Singh is joining us with more details on this. Moshmi, any reaction that's come in from the Congress on this? Can you confirm whether Rahul Gandhi and Mr. Kharge haven't received an invite?
That's right, Akshita. Our sources tell us that Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge, in fact, no top brass of the Congress party, has received an invite for the dinner at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. And this is after we saw how Rahul Gandhi launched a tirade saying that the government was targeting the LOP and telling dignitaries and, in fact, the countries he was visiting that they should not meet the LOP. So clearly, and that had stirred a hornet's nest with the BJP slamming Rahul Gandhi's childish accusations. But what we are told is that we've also learned that Shashi Tharoor has got that invite. So Congress MP Shashi Tharoor has been called. We know that he was heading the delegation to US after post-Operation Sindoor, when multiple delegations, parliamentary delegations, had gone across the globe. And we saw that yesterday. He was talking about the bonhomie between Russia and India. And
explain something to me. Is this straying away from tradition? Is this straying away from protocol? Is there a set protocol that the leader of opposition must be invited for these kind of formal dinners with a foreign dignitary?
Generally, the camaraderie or the optics would call it as a matter of courtesy that you extend that invite to the LOP of both houses, though it's not mandatory, in fact. And this is perhaps gives a fresh opportunity to the opposition to say that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government, in fact, wants to silence the voice of the opposition, doesn't even want to extend the normal courtesies that are extended to opposition leaders, clearly thereby, sharpening the rift between the government and the opposition. We've seen a war of words, Akshita, and with other Congress MPs called, we'll have to see who else has been called. There are a host of list of guests, invitees who have been called at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Surely the Congress will be making a lot about that.
Okay, so no reaction just yet from the Congress on this, but it's important to highlight that Rahul Gandhi had raised exactly this, Boshmi, a couple of days ago, when he claimed that, opposition leaders aren't given a chance to speak to foreign dignitaries. And I remember right after he made that comment, there was in fact a clarification that had also emerged from the MEA on this.
That's right. There were point-by-point rebuttal of Rahul Gandhi's allegations. In fact, saying that Rahul Gandhi, if he's saying that he has proof for emails, he should give that proof. Secondly is the second point was that it is up to the visiting dignitary if he says or he or she says that they want to meet the leader of the opposition, depends on their schedule and their request. It's not decided by the Indian government. The request is finally put to the Indian government. And also, point by point saying that Rahul Gandhi has been meeting foreign dignitaries, including the former, including the Mauritian Prime Minister and others. And in fact, this is wrong to say that that the government has anything to do with it. And Rahul Gandhi is really belittling the entire democratic process of India by yet again, trying to highlight an issue right when the Russian president is visiting India. It's a wrong timing, and Rahul Gandhi is acting very childish. And then after that,
this is no doubt going to trigger, a political showdown in the next 24 hours. I'm sure the Congress is yet to react on the fact that Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge haven't received an invite. Thanks very much, Moshmi, for joining us with those details. So away from the politics, let's talk about really what's played out in the last many hours from this morning on Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to India. If you've missed out on all of the highlights, we've got you covered. Let's break down for you what are really the biggest takeaways from that visit. Those are some of the images from the day today, from Hyderabad House to Rashtrapati Bhavan to Rajghat. Vladimir Putin, of course, had a packed day and a busy one with loads of engagements with important dignitaries in the country. He met the Prime Minister, he met the President as well, but there were path-breaking agreements also on various sectors. There was a joint briefing that took place post the crucial bilateral between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin, and in that particular bilateral, there was a focus very clearly from both leaders on taking this friendship forward, taking these ties to the next step. So agreements have been signed for cooperation on several issues. Also importantly on healthcare, on medical education, food safety, on shipbuilding, maritime cooperation, and so many more. and we'll break that down for you. But importantly, Prime Minister Modi also spoke on terror, hailing Putin for condemning the Pahalgam terror attack and said that the world must stay united and fight against terror in all forms. Another big message that came in from the Prime Minister was in terms of the Ukraine war, saying we're on a side. It's not that we're neutral, we've picked a side, and that side is peace. Meanwhile, Russian President Putin said that Russia remains committed to India in continuing to help them in procuring oil. Another very, very important message. Let's play out for you some of the highlights of that briefing by Prime Minister Modi and President Putin.
15 वर्ष पहले 2010 में हमारी साझेदारी को स्पेशल एंड प्रिविलेज स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप का दर्जा मिला। पिछले 2.5 दशक से उन्होंने अपने नेतृत्व और दूरदृष्टि से इन संबंधों को निरंतर सींचा है। हर परिस्थिति में उनके नेतृत्व ने आपसी संबंधों को नई ऊंचाई दी है। आज हमने इस नींव को और मजबूत करने के लिए सहयोग के सभी पहलुओं पर चर्चा की। आर्थिक सहयोग को नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाना हमारी साझी प्राथमिकता है। इसे साकार करने के लिए आज हमने 2030 तक के लिए एक इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन प्रोग्राम पर सहमति बनाई है। रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म एंड ट्रांसफॉर्म, इस सिद्धांत पर चलते हुए भारत तेजी से विश्व की तीसरी सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी बनने की ओर आगे बढ़ रहा है। और 11 वर्षों की इस रिफॉर्म यात्रा में हम न थके हैं, हम न रुके हैं। हमारा युवा टैलेंट, टेक्नोलॉजी, इंजीनियरिंग, हेल्थ केयर, कंस्ट्रक्शन, लॉजिस्टिक्स, हर क्षेत्र में ग्लोबल रिक्वायरमेंट्स को पूरा करने की क्षमता रखता है। रूस की डेमोग्राफिक और इकोनॉमिक प्रायोरिटीज को देखते हुए यह साझेदारी दोनों देशों के लिए अत्यंत उपयोगी है।
За прошедшие годы нами проделана очень большая работа в развитии наших отношений.
Over the past years, we have done a great deal of work to develop our relationship.
И по мере развития наших стран, по мере развития экономик наших государств, возможности нашего сотрудничества расширяются.
As our countries and our economies move forward, we have more opportunities for cooperation.
У нас появляются новые направления,
We open additional areas for cooperation,
связанные с высокими технологиями,
including those related to high-tech,
связанные с развитием и совместной работы в области авиации, космоса, высоких технологий в широком смысле слова, искусственного интеллекта.
as well as the cooperation in the field of aircraft, space exploration, high-tech and artificial intelligence.
We are also seeing successful partnership in energy. Russia is a reliable supplier of oil, gas, coal, and everything that is required for the development of India's energy. We are ready to continue uninterrupted shipments of fuel for the fast-growing Indian economy. Of course, the bilateral interaction in energy does not limit to that. We are also conducting a flagship project to build the largest Indian nuclear
full normal situation, which we do anticipate between the 10th and the 15th of December. I do understand that these disruptions have caused much discomfort to our customers and has shaken their belief in IndiGo's reliability so carefully built over these past 19 years. My colleagues, all the great IndiGo teams and frontline staff have been working relentlessly to address the situation. Rest assured, we are doing everything in our control to not only restore your trust and belief, but strengthen it further over time. Thank you for your patience, understanding, and kindness during this difficult time. We shall keep you updated on an ongoing basis.
So that is the IndiGo CEO there, Peter Elbers, confirming that over 1,000 IndiGo flights have been cancelled, and that's just on a single day, on December 5th. Imagine the chaos at airports. Now, the IndiGo CEO confirming that there have been operational disruptions, to put it mildly, quite honestly, looking at the mess that's been in several airports. December 5th alone has seen over 1,000 flights being cancelled, is what IndiGo has said. But they are maintaining right now that normalcy will be restored between December 10th to 15th. What does that mean? Does that mean that the next 5 days we're going to continue seeing this chaos unfold, in which case it's extremely troubling, extremely worrying, because there are lakhs, and I'm not exaggerating when I say lakhs of passengers, flyers who are stranded, who are stuck, who are left in the lurch and have absolutely no idea about what to do next. The IndiGo CEO confirming that yes, there have been severe disruptions, but there are questions amid this being asked about whether this is IndiGo arm twisting the DGCA to get it their way. The DGCA is buckled, clearly, making a U-turn on the rule that they had gone ahead and reversed. And now, despite that, the IndiGo CEO confirming that, it could take time for normalcy between December 10th and 15th. That means, viewers, if you have a plane to catch, if you have a flight to catch in the next few days, brace yourself. It is going to continue to be chaotic. Rahul Gautam is joining us with more details on this. Rahul, the IndiGo CEO confirming that 1,000+ flights have been called off just today. But what's extremely worrying is that he says for complete normalcy of flight ops of IndiGo, it's going to take 10 days. He says between 10th to 15th.
Absolutely, and this is what has come from IndiGo CEO, Mr. Peter Elbers, that over 1,000 flights have been cancelled, and in fact, it's going to take 5 to 10 days more to restore the full normalcy. In fact, he also appealed to all the passengers who have got their flights cancelled not to rush to the airport, as it is putting a lot of pressure on the.
Let's play out for our viewers again what the IndiGo CEO said.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Peter Elbers, the CEO of IndiGo. I want to share with you that we have experienced severe operational disruptions for the past few days. Since then, the crisis continued to aggravate, with today, December 5th, being the most severely impacted day, with the number of cancellations well over 1,000, or more than half of our number of daily flights. I, on behalf of all of us at IndiGo, would like to extend our sincerest apologies for the major inconvenience this has caused to many of our customers on account of delays or cancellations. The situation is a result of various causes, yet for you as a customer, it's important how we as IndiGo address this. We have defined 3 lines of action. Firstly, customer communication and addressing your needs. For this, messages have been sent on social media, and just now a more detailed communication with information on refunds, cancellations and other customer support measures was sent. Also, we've stepped up our call center capacity. Secondly, due to yesterday's situation, we had customers stranded mostly at the nation's largest airports. Our focus was for all of them to be able to travel today itself, which will be achieved. For this, we also ask customers whose flights are cancelled not to come to airports, as notifications are sent on this. Thirdly, cancellations were made for today as to align our crew and planes to be where they need to start afresh tomorrow morning. Earlier measures of the last few days regrettably have proven not to be enough. So we've decided today for a reboot of all our systems and schedules, resulting in the highest number of cancellations so far, but imperative for progressive improvements starting as from tomorrow. With these actions, we expect tomorrow to have cancellations below 1,000. The support of DGCA in providing specific FDTL implementation relief is of great help. Still, there's lots of work in progress. But going forward from here, in alignment with the Ministry of Civil Aviation and DGCA, we do expect to further improve every day, given the size, scale, and complexity.
I mean, just wrap your head around that. The chaos that you saw today, 1,000 flights being cancelled. The number of flyers left stranded with no option but to wait at the airport for hours, some of them wondering what to do. No help, of course, from the airline as well. But beyond that, this could actually continue. It's not just 24-hour chaos. This is going to continue for the next few days. Rahul Gautam is joining me live right now from Delhi's IGI airport. Rahul, extremely concerning this. And there will be questions of what really the government plans to do now to address this crisis. Sure, they've ordered an inquiry, but if this is going to take another 10 days to actually figure out what's going to happen now, what will the government do?
Well, Akshita, I can tell you that it's a double whammy for passengers, given the fact that on one hand you have over 1,000 flights getting cancelled. At the same time, if you have to take an alternate flight, then because of the surge pricing, then you would have to pay a lot more money. In fact, flights from Delhi to Bangalore are costing almost 80,000. And I met many passengers here. Somebody was flying from Delhi to Ranchi for 25,000 rupees. So obviously it's a double whammy. And rightly pointed out that it seems the situation is only aggravating, which is each passing hour. Although the Ministry of Civil Aviation, DGCA, they all are taking hold of the situation. They're trying to. They already ordered a high-level inquiry that what led to this widespread disruptions all across the country, and also what actually.
So an inquiry, yes, into what's happened, but what about addressing the issue immediately and figuring out a solution? Rahul, just stay with me. More breaking news that's coming in. The Civil Aviation Minister, Mohan Naidu, has put out a post on social media. The government has confirmed that, yes, there's a high-level probe that's been ordered into the IndiGo mess that's been triggered by that FDTL order. That order, which is essentially flight duty time limitation order, that has been, in fact, placed in abeyance. And Mohan Naidu has confirmed the same, saying, and I quote, "The order by the DGCA has been placed in abeyance with immediate effect for now to stabilize operations and prioritize relief for affected passengers. Airlines have been directed to provide timely and accurate updates to all passengers and ensure automatic refunds for cancelled flights and arrange hotel accommodation for those stranded." Not really happening on the ground. There are multiple passengers who've told us that they've not received a refund. They don't know where to go. There's been no accommodation whatsoever. The Civil Aviation Minister also confirming that a high-level inquiry has been instituted into the ongoing disruptions. I'll bring in Rahul Gautam once again for more on that. Now, you've got the government also, Rahul, saying that, steps have been taken to ensure all necessary help is being provided to these passengers. Not really the case. You're at the IGI airport, and we know that there have been countless passengers who are struggling, who are sitting at the airport not out of choice, but because they have nowhere to go and no help that's reached them.
Absolutely. And in fact, there are passengers, there were actually passengers, now they're being moved away, who were sitting here since morning. And in fact, many of them were actually clueless, saying that they've not been, fully informed, or they're not really able to, being guided as to what, one has to do after the flight has got cancelled. And I was telling you earlier also, many are trying to take alternate routes. But then, surge pricing is something which is actually making it extremely difficult for them to take flights, because the prices have gone really, really high. And also, as you rightly pointed out, that imagine if this situation is going to be, improved in 5 to 10 days, obviously it's going to make, people's, woes more concerning. And obviously the government must intervene at the earliest, given the fact that there are not just at Delhi airport, you'll find similar scenes all across, the country, from Chandigarh to Bangalore, from Chennai to Kashmir. So this is what is actually seems to be aggravating. 1,000 flights getting cancelled in one day, and
that's insanity. I can't imagine the chaos at airports as a result. He says, Mohan Naidu, the Civil Aviation Minister, says accountability will be fixed. But this is an issue that's larger than just one problem. And that's what everyone's been talking about, that this is the result of monopoly by one single airline, of an entire sector, of an entire industry that people are so reliant on, that so much so that the airline can actually afford to arm twist you. And so the DGCA has also gone ahead and put that particular rule in abeyance after this chaos. Too little, too late. There will be questions about what really needs to be done over the next few days to address the crisis at hand. Thanks very much, Rahul, for joining us with those details. We're going back. Let's talk about the global world exclusive of Vladimir Putin here on India Today. What a moment for Indian journalism. Our exclusive interview with Russian President Putin hasn't just made headlines here at home, and it has, by the way, it's also exploded across the world. Top global outlets are quoting India Today on everything from Putin's equation with Prime Minister Modi, the Ukraine conflict, oil diplomacy, and of course what he had to say about Donald Trump. This shows you that India Today is ensured, the network is ensured that Indian media also reaches the stage where we're talked about globally, that these international exclusives aren't just confined to a few publications, but also is accessed by Indian networks, by Indian media. Those are some of the headlines there for you. On your screen, CNN World, referring to the India Today article, particularly about the Ukraine conflict. Then you have this headline in The Independent, all of them quoting the article, in their article, the India Today interview. Now, The Independent too, writing about what Putin said on the Ukraine war. So these are just a few excerpts, and I'll continue to get you those. But what exactly have CBC, Independent, CNN referred to as far as the Ukraine war goes? Listen in to exactly what the Russian president said in the world exclusive interview to India Today.
What is the end game for Vladimir Putin in Ukraine?
Так я же сказал.
Well, I've just said it.
Мы признали вот эти...
We have recognized, listen,
Мы 8 лет не
for
признавали
8 years we did not recognize
самопровозглашенных
the self-declared republics. For 8 years,
провозгласили
they
независимость.
have declared the
А мы
independence.
старались наладить
And we were
отношения
trying
с остальной частью
to build
Украины.
relations between the rest of Ukraine
Потом,
and
когда
these
поняли, что это
republics.
невозможно,
When
что
we
их просто уничтожают,
Understood that it's
вынуждены
impossible,
были
that they're simply
признать
being destroyed, we were forced to recognize them, and not simply
в части
recognize them
в рамках
as their partial territory,
административных
but within the
границ,
administrative
когда они
borders,
существовали еще в
when they
советское
existed
время,
back in the Soviet times,
а потом во времена независимой
and later
Украины,
during the times of the
после
independent Ukraine,
обретения
after
независимости,
it gained
в рамках
independence,
административных границ.
in the
И мы сразу Украине
administrative
сказали,
limits,
украинским войскам, люди не
lines.
хотят с вами жить. Они вышли на референдум, проголосовали
So
за
the
независимость.
people, the voters,
Выведите свои
came to
войска.
the referendum
И
and
никаких
voted
военных
for
действий.
everyone to withdraw troops from there and not to
Они
conduct
предпочитали
any armed
воевать. Ну вот сейчас
actions there.
завоевались.
But they preferred to
В принципе,
wage war. And now
всё к
it
этому
all came to a head, and it all comes to one thing.
вооруженным путем освободить
Either we do that
эти территории,
through
либо украинские
military
войска
action will liberate the territories, or the Ukrainian troops will
эти территории
withdraw
прекратят
and leave these territories and stop killing people there.
So I understand why you're seeing these kind of headlines really about what the Russian president said. He very rarely sits down for this kind of a conversation, and a freewheeling one at that, speaking about so many issues. And that's something also that many of these international publications, channels have spoken of, about how Putin was so comfortable, spoke completely at ease, addressed every single issue, spoke on every global controversy, even speaking about Donald Trump, speaking about himself, speaking about the oil sanctions and whatnot. I want to bring in right now Geeta Mohan, who was in Moscow, who of course did that groundbreaking interview with the Russian president. Geeta, first of all, congratulations. Welcome back home. Overwhelmed, I'm sure, by the response that the interview has received. You've been tracking all of the international publications. What do they really have to say about this interview, Geeta?
Well, again, the focus is for the West has always been for a few very key issues. The top of their agenda was what's happening with the Russia-Ukraine war. And I say this, Akshita, is because the day when we had to interview the Russian president was when a historic meeting was taking place just a few rooms away at the Kremlin, which was a meeting between Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, and President Putin. So the focus was for Western media and will remain the Russia-Ukraine war. And if you see and you go through all the networks, they have been talking about what he said very clearly on the conversation with Jared Kushner. This is the first time that Kushner was in Moscow, historic meeting with President Putin, but also on the Russia-Ukraine war, focusing on a few things, and that has to do with the fact that he has very clearly said that the Donbas region is a non-negotiable. In many words than one, it's a non-negotiable. The territories that are now under Russian control are not going to go back to Ukraine. And that certainly has been a headline in many a publication. But Akshita, also very interesting conversation that I heard on CNN was that there is a lot to unpack from this interview. And one of the reporters there said, yes, and we have a lot to learn from the India Today interview. Why? Because I don't think President Putin has ever spoken so candidly with any Western media. There's always an explanation, even with Tucker Carlson and his interview, when the focus remained Russia and Ukraine. And he actually went on to say, well, I don't think you know the history. And the first question lasted more than 30 minutes because he was explaining and giving a backgrounder on the war itself and the history of Ukraine and Russia so that it is put into context. With us, that was not the case. And that's why the answers were so direct on what Donbass is going to be. That if that requires military might, Russia is willing to use it. A message very clear to Europe and to America that they'll have to continue investing arms into Ukraine should they think that this red line can be crossed. So that is a part of the headline. And the other very important one was oil and the American hypocrisy, because a lot of them woke up to the fact that America still continues to, after sanctioning the entire leadership, still continues to buy nuclear fuel from Russia and is asking India to stop buying oil.
You know, interestingly, and I think one bit that's gone completely viral is when you actually asked Putin about the meeting with Witkoff, and he says, 5 hours it went on, you don't want to hear about it. That part, of course, has got everyone talking about what he really thought. But, you know, that itself tells you the sense of comfort that he felt. What really was it, Geeta? You were there, so you can tell us perhaps better than anyone else. What really made Putin get comfortable, decide that, you know, I'm going to take every issue head on? I know we had a slotted 60 minutes, it went on for 100 minutes, and he's done interviews before. It's not like he hasn't, but this one is very, very unique. He's never really spoken out in this manner or been so at ease, so sure of himself.
Well, he was actually quite comfortable. We started with the fact, you know, Akshita, let's just put it how it is. He was going to come to India. And India is a friend. So when we started the interview, we had to focus on his India visit. We are, after all, a publication from India, so the visit was very important to us, but we did not confine ourselves to India. This is one of those interviews where everything that now concerns Russia was discussed, was put in front of him, and he took all those questions in the right spirit. In fact, showed some of his sense of humor too, where when I asked him about the Witkoff meeting and I said, I wish I was, being a foreign affairs journalist and editor of this network, I said, I wish I were a fly on the wall just to know what happened. He said, oh, you wouldn't have wanted to be. You would have been bored if you were in the room. And he laughed and said, I was bored. So that's how funny, that's how funny he was in terms of how comfortable he was. So because we started with the India visit, there was a lot of comfort in what he wanted to talk and discuss. And therefore, after which we saw that, he was comfortable taking every question. We were not there to browbeat. We were not there to corner him. We were there to ask him the right and the tough questions as well when it comes to Russia-Ukraine war. I asked him about eastern Ukraine and the Russian-speaking people who felt quite heartbroken when they were attacked by Putin because their families in Russia, in fact, if anything, they weren't very happy with Kiev, with Zelensky, because he had banned Russian language. The administration in Kiev has not been has not been as kind to eastern Ukraine as it has to its own parts or the other parts of Ukraine, and so they were surprised. To which he responded. He had to respond to every question. He did not wiggle out of any of the questions that we put forth. So yes, very comfortable interview, and if you see, very relaxed, showed his sense of humor. But also, these are very difficult times. And in these difficult times, when every country is being bullied by every other country, you try to look for, not me, meaning countries try to look for allies. And over here, I suppose he was coming to an ally nation.
Yeah, yeah. He was very candid. That was very clear. He was very candid. He was comfortable answering those questions. But I think it was important what you highlighted also, Geeta, that look, this wasn't us or journalists trying to, corner a world leader. This was an interview. There was no attempt to sensationalize whatsoever. And that was evident really in the interview also, that this was a conversation where questions were being asked, straightforward questions on issues plaguing not just Russia and India, but across the world. And it was that honesty, perhaps, that led to Putin also reciprocating in the same manner. But Geeta, you mentioned that it was because of the conversation starting off about the India-Russia dosti that really got Putin in his element and comfortable, perhaps. So let's play out an excerpt of that also for our viewers.
The Prime Ministers of India have had a huge role to play in this strengthening of India-Russia ties. Who do you think, in your span of being a leader here in Russia, really made that difference since you were in power in enhancing India-Russia ties? Which are the Prime Ministers?
Well, you have already asked me to characterize other leaders of other countries. I do not think it is very polite. You know, now we're working with Prime Minister of India, His Excellency Narendra Modi. Indeed, we have very trustworthy and friendly relations. He is a very reliable person. In that sense, I'm speaking very sincerely. India got lucky. He lives India. I'm talking to him and I know him. I hope he won't be cross with me. I'm just saying what I'm seeing and what I'm thinking. It is very pleasant to me to talk to such a person of integrity, And that's number one. Number two, indeed, he is very sincere when it goes about strengthening India-Russian ties across the whole range of areas, especially crucial issues of economy and defense and humanitarian cooperation, development of high-tech. It is very interesting to meet with him. He traveled here, and we sat with him at my residence, and we drank tea for the whole evening, and we discussed different topics. We simply had an interesting conversation, purely like humans.